A magical melding, promises will be kept. Two souls welding, a connection to accept. One glorious truth settled into their souls. There's nothing to lose in accepting their roles.
I was once asked to comment on the apparent inequity in the sexual freedoms of Estolian men and women. Because virginity is only expected of women, there have been many who label the faith sexist. But an honest appraisal of the different expectations for both genders demonstrates that of the two, men have far more limitations placed upon them than women. While Estolian men have the freedom to explore their sexuality and indulge in casual affairs in their 20s, they have extremely rigid requirements in marriage. They can only marry at the age of 30. Those who do not marry before they are 31 will never marry, never father a child, never have their soul kept by a woman. Those men who choose to forego marriage live their lives celibate, incapable of indulging in casual liaisons. Estolian women are expected to remain pure until marriage, but they have far more freedom over when they marry. They also have the added advantage of keeping the soul of the man who is right for them. The freedoms and constraints experienced by both genders are distinctly different, but equal in the serious repercussions for those who flout Estolian marriage customs. Link Zakarian, Ensayo 90.
Kay Darren felt warm and protected. She snuggled closer to the warmth surrounding her. Finally, her dreams had reached their culmination, and she now knew what it was like to be immersed in Ezekiel's love and his possession. When his arms gathered her closer, she realized she was feeling the warmth of a real man in bed with her. Her eyes snapped open as memories flooded through her. She looked into the warm amber eyes of the man who had possessed her in the night. She felt her cheeks heat up and knew she was a most painful color of mottled red.
Good morning, Kay Darren.
He said to her.
Are you well rested?
She nodded, speechless.
I would like nothing better than to stay with you and ignore the outside world. However, we do not have that luxury.
He brushed her curls back from her face before saying,
We must go to the ceremony room. I wish to promise there in our most holy room that I will always be yours.
She searched his eyes for his sincerity. She saw nothing other than truth within.
Do you mean it, Ezekiel?
She asked.
Oh yes, beautiful Kay Darren. I wish to spend my entire life by your side. I hope that your children will be mine, and you will consent to be my wife. To be by my side every single day until time ceases to be time.
There were some things she wanted more than simply belonging. Even though she barely knew him, she wanted to be with this man for the rest of her life, just as he expressed it, until time ceased to matter.
Ezekiel, I don't ever want to live without you.
She was rewarded with a brilliant smile.
I am sorry that our courtship was affected so profoundly by the rantings of an unbalanced man. I did want to spend time getting to know you before making you mine. But in my culture, if a man does not consummate his union by the time he is 31, he will never marry, never have children. Today is my 31st birthday. I was out of time and out of options. I did not wish to push you, but I could not live without you. I hope to live my life in a way that you will forgive me for pushing you so quickly into this relationship.
He kissed her for several minutes until she was aware of a growing heat between them. Reluctantly, she reminded him.
Didn't you say we had to go somewhere?
You are quite distracting, my love. But yes, we must make our way to the ceremony room. Afterwards, we will return here, where we will spend a week getting to know one another.
Ezekiel handed her a beautiful gauzy dress, with a green bodice and a purple flared skirt. He pulled on a robe that was very similar to the one he wore in her painting, although this one was less elaborate. His final item of apparel was a black sash pinned at his right shoulder and left hip. She should have been surprised that he was dressed just as she painted him, including the black sash that she had accurately rendered in intricate detail. But after seeing his uncle in a similar outfit, she believed that Ezekiel's deity had influenced her in some way. He extended a hand to her. She took it and felt a sense of profound happiness, like she was coming home after being banished for a lifetime. He led her to the door and it opened as they approached. A man with silver blonde hair stood holding it. His robes were simpler than Ezekiel's. While he said nothing, Kadarin could tell that an understanding of some sort passed between the two men. They entered the ceremonial hall that she had barely noted the previous day. Ezekiel led Kadarin around and to the front of the dais to mount the steps, stopping one step below the upper surface upon which three men stood. He stopped behind her and pulled her back slightly against his lean frame, placing one warm hand on her abdomen. The three men were stunning when viewed together. In the middle was Theo, the man she met when she arrived, dressed as formally as he had been the previous day. On his right was a younger man closer to Ezekiel's age. He did not wear robes, but instead wore a dark outfit made bright by the swirl of an embroidered cape, a ceremonial sword strapped to one hip, and a thick jeweled crown upon his head. The man on Theo's left was dressed in similar fashion, but with a slender crown. He appeared to be Theo's age. Theo spoke.
Lazarus Ezekiel Zakarian, it is your 31st birthday. Did you find and place your soul within the keeping of a woman prior to this day?
I, Lazarus Ezekiel Zakarian, have placed my soul securely within the keeping of Kadarin Cicero. This I did prior to the sun setting on my last day as a man of 30 years.
Theo's attention turned to Kadarin, and he looked solemn as he stared at her.
Kadarin Cicero, you were brought here to Estolia without your consent, and the man holding you, Lazarus Ezekiel Zakarian, clearly took without asking.
He looked troubled.
Therefore you are not constrained to remain with him. If you wish, we will transport you back to California, with appropriate recompense for your lost commission, and you can try to forget this time of your life. What do you choose, Kadarin?
I don't want to ever be separated from Ezekiel.
Theo's eyes met hers, perhaps evaluating her sincerity. After a pause, he nodded.
You will return to the royal seclusion suite. In 7 days, if the Spirit sanctifies your union, it will be formalized.
He turned to Ezekiel.
As the future keeper of the soul of Estolia, you will remain 1 additional day in the seclusion suite. May your blessings in marriage fully eclipse the trials in life that brought you together.
Unable to envision the aura everyone sees.